A lot of people are great at what they do. They are talented, they care, they have something real to offer. And yet, when it comes down to selling, everything changes. They hesitate, they overthink, they feel awkward, they do too much chasing, or they hold back because they do not want to sound pushy. And that creates a real problem because if you cannot sell, it does not matter how good you are. Today's guest, Ray Higdon, he is a sales trainer and he does public work centers on helping reps and teams stop chasing and start closing with more confidence. His site says that he is the CEO of Higdon, co-founder of the Inc. 5000 company and host of a podcast with more than 10 million downloads. This is a conversation about confidence, posture, trust, and behavior and how to increase sales in today's market without becoming someone that you're not. Ray, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm really excited because this is something I see all the time.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. So I just want to go like right straight to the real issue. A lot of people feel like selling has gotten harder. Buyers are more distracted, more skeptical, harder to impress. Why does sales feel more difficult right now?
I think one, I don't think it has to. I just think that you need to differentiate yourself. And I don't just mean in branding, because I feel like everyone is so focused on branding that they're getting more engagement, they're getting even more leads, but they're not focused on closing. And
Mhm.
and if you're not closing, you're not only wasting your time, you're wasting everyone else's time too.
Yeah.
Because if they don't buy your product, service, or opportunity, or whatever it is that you got, then
Hmm.
you didn't impact them. You didn't change their lives. And
Right.
so I think there's kind of two things. One, so many people are focused on branding and getting lay down leads,
Hmm.
which I think is more rare nowadays,
Yeah.
versus closing. And number two, we are in a very confusing time in history. I mean, war and all kinds of weird stuff going on, the Epstein stuff. Like, there's so much weird stuff going on. So I do think that has to play some of the mix, but people are still buying. They
Hmm.
just may not be buying from you.
Yeah. I like that. How much is, how much of that market, conditions and how much, does people, are approaching sales in today's? Because you said that you really don't think, even with all the chaos going on, you really don't think it really has, impacted sales as much. It's just that people are maybe focusing on the wrong things or doing the wrong things.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you, people are still buying, no question. For example, last week we were up in Franklin, Tennessee, and we just love that area. And so, they let us know. And so my wife is actually a realtor here in Naples, Florida. She did $30 million last year in real estate. This year, I think she's crossed 10 million already. So she's rocking and rolling. But in Franklin, very interesting market, very hot market. And so we went to see this house. It was an acre house, not humongous, 3,700 square feet. And it was the first day it was on the market, and they told us we'll be accepting offers on Friday, and we'll let everyone know on Sunday. And we're like, well, they're pretty confident, huh? And so, so we actually wanted the house, so we submitted an offer pretty close to what they were asking for, and they had five offers on Easter weekend, and they ended up accepting the offer that was all cash, no appraisal.
Wow.
And so, like, people are still buying, and just, what is it that you're doing? How are you differentiating yourself? How are you offering something that either helps someone solve a problem or attain a desire?
Yeah.
That's what's so critical. There's less and less just extra money floating around. So you
Mhm.
need to make sure that you can solidly explain how your offer solves a problem or helps someone attain a desire.
Yes, I agree. Now, I think, that, sometimes, well, actually, I wonder sometimes, what has changed the most, do you think, about buyers' behavior?
I mean, I think they're more skeptical. A lot of, I mean, I know, like, if you're hyping, I just think there's more resistance than ever before. I don't know very many people that didn't lose money in crypto, that didn't lose money in some kind of, you know, get rich thing or whatever. So I just think that you have to very solidly be able to explain what it is that you do and
Yeah.
how you help people and what does that look like. And you also have to have, solid follow-up, solid customer service. I just don't think there's a whole lot of, depending on the industry, of course, but I just don't think there's a whole lot of lay down sales anymore. And I think some people got used to that.
Yeah.
There were certain industries that just, exploded after the pandemic, and some got tougher.
Yeah.
For example, in fact, what I do, online coaching and sales, I know a lot of companies that did not survive, COVID. When COVID happened, they didn't adjust quickly enough, they didn't adapt, and or they just haven't been able to keep up with today's demands and close the doors or are making greatly less money.
Right.
And so I just think it all comes down to simplicity. Can you simply define what it is that you actually do to help people? And is that a desire in the marketplace?
Right. Oh, I agree. And I do think things have changed a lot. Like, the one thing I don't like about customer service is it's gotten very robotic in a lot of air
Yeah.
industries. And I that kind of is a turn off. And I still think we need that human connection. That human connection
Yes.
is so important. Communication, I always feel, is key. And you can't use in an automated system and not being able to speak to another human being and get your message across, I think is really something that is really going to backfire, eventually. People, you see a lot of companies, they want to save money in certain areas, but I think that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, so many are trying to use AI for everything, and they're trying to use AI for processes that they never perfected anyway.
Yeah.
Like, AI isn't going to perfect anything for you. It may
Mhm.
automate something for you, but when, like you said, when it comes to human connection, it's actually going to get to the point where it stands out when you can connect with another human, and
Yeah.
people will want to do business with that company simply because of that. And I believe that so much. I believe that they'll actually pay more
Yeah.
to deal with a company that has real humans, not AI bots or systems or whatever. But I think the big mistake is people they're falling in love with the AI thing, and there's also a fear factor there. They're like, oh
Mhm.
no, if I'm not using AI, I'm gonna get destroyed. And it's like, well, AI has great uses for some things, but not everything. And
Right.
especially if you haven't optimized the funnel or you haven't optimized the process, AI is not going to do that for you. It may give you good wisdom. You may ask it questions and help you, tweak and define it. But
Right.
I think too many people that shouldn't be automating are trying to automate.
Agree with you. Now, I think this is where a lot of listeners get stuck. I think that they're not bad at what they do. They're not lazy. They're not unqualified, but they still struggle with selling. So, why do so many good people have such a hard time with sales?
Yeah. I would say, and I agree with you. I meet so many people that have a great product, have a great service, are a great coach, good at what they do, but they're not making what they should be because they just won't build the skill of closing. And I think it's because they believe that, well, to be a closer, I have to be pushy or aggressive, and it's actually the complete opposite. When
Yeah.
you're unskilled in closing, you come across as pushy. You come across as aggressive because you don't know what to do. You don't know how to respond to what they're saying, and so you
Yeah.
tend to press. And so I'll give you a quick story. There was a restaurant in our area, and it was this Vietnamese restaurant. Had great food. I mean, it was very good, unique atmosphere, great food, small, but it was great.
Yeah.
And I remember I took my buddy there once, and he looked on the wall, and on the wall they had all these magazine covers that said, best kept secret 20, whatever it was, 19, best kept secret 2020, best kept secret 2021.
Yeah.
And they had, like, 5 years of best kept secret. And my buddy said, oh man, they must be good.
Hmm.
I said, well, you know what best kept secret means, right? It means you're the worst marketer And there are people with an inferior product making more money than you and are better known than you.
Yeah.
That's what best kept secret means. And so I'll tell you the one when I come in and I train teams or I train an individual on how to be a better closer, because I know so many influencers that they get the engagement, they get all that, but they're not making much money except from these little rinky-dink sponsorship deals, where they could be making so much more money. They could easily be making seven figures.
Yeah.
Um, when I come in and teach them this, there's one area that I find really, really helps them,
Hmm.
and that is always, always, always focus on their problem.
Hmm.
So a friend of mine, he said this. He's a great copywriter. His name's Ben Settle. He said, "Focus more on their crabgrass than your weed killer."
Right.
But what do most people do? They focus on their solution,
Yeah.
right? It's,
Hmm.
I got this great coaching package and it's this and that, or I got this great cream or hair thing or whatever, right?
Right.
Anti-aging thing. They focus on their solution and they barely focus on the problem. Well, the issue is for most industry, not all, but for most industries, someone is coming to you with it'd be nice to solve this problem.
Hmm.
But if you're good at expanding the problem, then they'll take any solution.
Right.
You have to use this ethically, but you have to find out what is the actual problem. And
Hmm.
so I was coaching a sales team. I mean, I coach a lot of sales teams, but I was coaching a sales team last week, and the person said that the person was selling I think it was like a $6,000, like an opportunity, kind of thing, like a high ticket opportunity. And the prospect responded and they said, "Yeah, I'm trying to leave my job, but I just don't think I have, the time to do this."
Right.
Okay. So to me, that's like easy breezy. But the rep responded with, "Oh, it doesn't take that much time." Well, no, 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 no. Why are you trying to leave your job? Because right
Right.
now, in that person's mind, that prospect's mind, leaving the job is it'd be nice. It'd be nice to leave this job that I hate. It'd be pretty cool. We have to expand that. We have to get, okay, well, what happens if you don't leave the job? How'd your life look like in 5 years? You see, people in that situation, that's an irreversible decision. You
Right.
staying in a job that you hate, you will never get that time back. You'll never get that time back with your kids, with your family, with your own soul, your own heart. And so you have to dig into the problem and expand that problem. Is that something you're serious about changing, or is that just optional? Well, if you
Right.
don't do this, how will you accomplish that? And so it's focusing in on the individual's problems, not a I think the industry has this issue, the person's problem, because it's always slightly different. And so
Yes.
when you learn to ask questions about the problem, you'll never be pushy. That's not aggressive. It's more pulley. It's more
Hmm.
you getting them to figure out in their head, oh, this is important to me. I need to do something, and this person's right in front of me.
Yeah.
So expand the problem more than your solution.
That's great advice. And I think that's one of the things that I see a lot with people too, is that they talk about what they could do for the person, but they never take the time out to find out what that person really needs, what that person,
Right.
what their problem is, or what they're looking to achieve maybe in
Right.
3, 6 months, a year from now. And that can make a whirlwind of difference, because what you're telling them might not mean anything to them. But if you focus on the problem and you do have a valid solution, that can easily close the sale within minutes.
That's right. Yeah, because if you ask the right questions around what they want, then you're going to gather intelligence and then you're going to make this statement. Based on what you've said, I suggest this.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, you know, and so it's not that difficult. But what happens is people don't understand posture, and so they feel when they're not asking questions and they're not engaging the prospect, they feel the prospect going away, and so they get frantic and and
Yeah.
they word vomit over them, or they just get a little crazy. You don't ever have to be anxious during a sales call. You can
Right.
and in fact, if you feel anxious, that's your cue to ask questions. Don't
Right.
make statements, ask questions. Well, is this, tell me about your journey. How long have you been trying to solve this problem?
Yeah.
Well, is it optional? Is it, well, if you don't do this, right? And so there's just questions that you can ask in any kind of situation to help them realize, ooh, I need to do something about this.
Right. Now, do you think some people confuse being nice with being effective? Because on your site, you recently featured content arguing that being nice in sales feels safe, but sometimes it can hurt results, while stronger posture kind of leads to better outcomes. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah. First of all, what I teach doesn't mean you're not nice. All right. So I don't teach, mean, right? We're not mean,
Yeah.
but we do need to lead people. And if we're going to lead people, we can't just be nice. This isn't about being an order taker. This isn't about being a question answerer. And a lot of people, they treat it as if they're, behind the counter at, Nordstrom or something. They're just there to answer questions. Oh, over there, size 32, right? Like, no, you're there. They're coming to you in most scenarios for you to lead them. And, and,
Exactly.
and they want to know that you understand their problem. Then they're going to be interested in your solution.
Right.
So a lot of people that are, nice. So if someone says, I don't have the money to do that. Oh, okay. Well, I understand, let me know. Right. Why? Why as an adult do you have this problem and you're unable to solve it?
Right.
How important is this to you? And what does life look like if you don't solve this problem in 6 months, 12 months, 5 years? How long have you been dealing with this?
Yeah.
And so it's you actually taking a stand for them. It's
Right.
you. So, nice, I use this acronym. Nice means nothing inside me cares enough. And so what that means is the person that's nice is in this context of sales is someone who cares more about how they look,
Yeah.
actually helping the person.
Right.
And so the people that's helped me the most, they challenged me.
Mm-hmm.
They made me think differently.
Yeah.
They helped me. I remember, several years ago, I hired a guy named Grant Cardone, which I'm sure most of you have heard of. So I hired Grant Cardone. It was $100,000 for 6 hours. In hour one, I go to Grant and I said, "Hey, I'm running this event, and there's 250 people there. I've already sold it out, and it's in a few months. But next year, I want to go bigger." And he's like, "Cancel the event." And I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I sold it out, right? I got everything's, in the contract, everything, contract's in place. I sold it." He goes, "I heard you. Cancel the event." And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, you know what? He's challenging me. I'm gonna take this. And so I cancel the event, I rebook it. We sell 2,200 tickets that year. And his advice in 1 hour helped me make an additional $1 million that year.
Wow.
He challenged me. And
Yeah.
that's what people that actually care will do. So
Yeah.
if someone comes to me with a reason why they can't, usually the reason why they can't is actually the reason they need to. They should. They must. And
Right.
and so doesn't mean that I'm going to beat them over the head relentlessly, but I'm at least going to say, hey, I'm just curious. Can I ask you a quick question? I'm gonna see, is this something that's actually important to them? And a lot of times it is. It's just they're so scared to make a move
Yeah.
that they think is irreversible. But the truth is, you know, investing in yourself, buying a product service, all of that's very reversible,
Yeah.
right? I mean, money will, come and go. What's not reversible is wasting time, being
Yes.
in a job you hate, being in a career you hate, doing the work over and over and over and barely making ends meet. That you'll never get that time back. And
Yeah.
so it's much more powerful for you to take the leap, make a leap of faith. And for a lot of people on here, that involves buying your thing, buying your product or service, your opportunity, joining with you, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. I see tons of people that are afraid to make that change. And I do see a group of people that a lot of people too that do make that change. But a lot of people feel stuck. They feel like, that they're so afraid that, well, I've been in this business. I can't just jump out. I can't, I don't know what's ahead. What happens, I have bills to pay. I got this to do. I got that, and they every day they wake up and they feel like they're dragging their feet because they're in a situation where they are just making ends meet, and they actually have either a good business going, but they can't really get to the point where they want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Anytime I've made a leap of faith that honestly went against logic, that's when I experienced my most growth.
Really?
And absolutely 100% of the time. I'll give you, one example. 2013, my wife and I, we did our first, I mean, it wasn't a big event, but it was for us, our first major event.
Yeah.
And it was, 2013. I think we ended up having like 180 people in the room. So it wasn't, huge, but it was the first time that we sold a mastermind, the first time we sold group coaching. And
Yeah.
so I had hired a coach, way back then, and for I think it was $35,000. And she suggested that we have two levels of masterminds. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, okay, one will be 20,000 and one will be 50,000. And I'm like, 50,000, that's crazy. And I'm like, hey, nobody buying that, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what though? Maybe the 50 will make the 20, look better. So, okay,
Right.
fine. She convinced me to at least offer it, right? But I knew no one was going to buy.
Yeah.
And so 180 people in the room. The 2 nights before the event, we get the full bill from the hotel, and it was back then. I mean, back then this scared the heck out of us. It was $145,000, and
Mhm.
we're like, oh my God, what if we don't sell anything? And
Right.
so the day before, my wife and I are literally crying, stuffing the bags, and so I sure hope this works,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
bags. And so we do the event, and on day two, I offer, the two packages, knowing that no one's buying the 50, and so I make the offer, and it was awesome because I make this offer, and this guy, while I'm on stage, comes up to the stage and says, "Dude, you can't sell $50,000 coaching." Like he was just like so positive that I
Yeah.
was crazy that he came up at the event. We weren't on break. Like I'm still on stage.
Oh, you're
And
still on stage.
I'm still on stage. I mean, imagine the cone is on this guy, right?
Uh-huh.
And I look in the back, and there's a long line of people in the back signing up. And so he says, "You can't sell $50,000 coaching." And I said, "I think I just did." He looks to the back real quick, and he sees this big long line. He looks at me, and he looks at the back, and he looks at me, and he's just bewildered. And so he just sits down. So we end up selling over $500,000 worth of coaching, which was double our like home run goal, right?
Wow.
Three people bought the $50,000 coaching. And I was like, oh man, do I got to move in with them? Like, bring them dinner and wash their car.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's a lot of money, man. Because I remember making $50,000 a year, and
Yeah.
they're going to pay me coaching, right? And what was so powerful, and I just needed this. So a year goes by. I mean, I answer every call, I answer every text, I do everything I can for these guys. The next year, all three of the 50K people renew, and two of the 20K upgrade to 50.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow. Because now I know, oh, it wasn't that I was just good at sales. I actually really helped those people. And so I think those original three, I think, renewed with me for like 3 or 4 years. At one point, we had 18 that were at the
Yeah.
50K level. And so it's just really wild. But that was a leap of faith. We did not have a big nest egg. We didn't have a whole bunch of money just sitting around like that. That was nervous. We had to make money at that event,
Yeah.
or we wouldn't have been able to pay bills at that point.
Right.
And so I'm not suggesting that's the speed for everybody,
Yeah.
but when you play it so safe, I don't think you leave any room for God to work. I don't think you leave, I don't think you walk in faith. And
Right.
so, you know, it's something that that leap that you're really scared of is probably the step that will unlock the most resources to you.
Wow. I even when you mentioned Grant Cardone and he told you to cancel the event, I think I would have just stood there with my mouth open and be terrified. Like I just sold out this thing. Why am I going to do that? Like I think most people, I don't even know if most people would take the challenge because they sold it out. They know that
Right.
there's income coming in,
And there was a cancellation fee. And
and
so, you know, I don't know how it was this low, but it was 10 grand to cancel it, which blew me away because now if you try to cancel a contract, I mean, we had a very large contract. They wanted $700,000 to cancel that contract. And so like I don't know, you know, what has happened since, but back then I'm very surprised that it was only 10 grand. I thought it would be a lot more. But yeah,
right.
I mean, it was a cost. I had to tell all these people, hey, you know that event that you bought a ticket to? Well, you know, it's different now. It's a different date. It's a different location. It's different
Yeah.
everything. And we sold 2,200 tickets.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
So, what changes in a conversion, when a seller has a stronger posture?
So I have to explain that, first of all. So posture is the ability to manage the energy of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're postured, you're not scared of any objection. You're not scared of anything
Yeah.
because you manage the energy of the conversation. That does not mean that I think that I close every sale. I don't close every sale, but
Yeah.
every sale shouldn't be closed,
Right.
right? There are some
100%.
people that you wish you didn't close.
Yeah.
And so if you think about posture this way, okay, this is you, this is the prospect. If the prospect is pulling away, resist the urge to lean in.
Hmm.
Okay. So this is if they're pulling away, and you know this energetically, you feel it. You feel when a prospect is pulling away. They're getting
Yeah.
skeptical or cynical. They're, you know, giving you, I don't know about this, right? They just have a, you know, a pull away kind of energy. The amateur always leans in. The
Hmm.
amateur is always like, oh no, we can do that. Well, yeah, you totally should. And so me, I just pull away. And so I remember, let me see, what would be a good example for this? I was, way back when I was the number one incomer of a network marketing company. I was on a three-way call with someone and my friend Ashley in Alabama. And so she gets me on this three-way call. And the first thing this guy says is, I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked.
Yeah.
Like, great, right? This is wonderful. And so what is he doing? He's pulling away. Very obvious, right?
Yep.
People, that's easy to detect. What would most people do? They'd say, well, this one's different. It's amazing. It's got a great comp plan. It's ground floor. It's the next Netflix. They would say some kind of nonsense of trying to convince this person, thinking that if they lean in, they'll somehow, lean in too. It
Yeah.
doesn't work that way. It's like, if this person is making you play fetch, you ain't ever going to get them. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so he says, I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked. I said, well, what makes this time any different? See, he's on the call. I didn't put a gun to his head. He
Yeah.
got on the call. I
Right.
said, okay, well, what makes this time any different? And so usually when people hear posture, they don't know what to say because they're not used to it.
Yeah.
And so he kind of pauses and he's like, well, I need to make money, and so you could feel it, right? So I pull away. I need to make money. I'm coachable, and so we continue. So we
Yeah.
continue the conversation, and then he asks a question, and it wasn't the question; it was the way he asked it. And
Okay.
so he asked, he goes, "Tell me about the comp plan." You want to know, okay, how do you make money with this thing? It was the way that he asked it. It wasn't great. It was a pull
Yeah.
away energy. Like, like dance boy, in the old westerns where they shoot
Yep.
at your feet, right?
Uh,
And so he's like, tell me about the comp plan. And so always when I'm in a sales conversation, I have a compartment that I'm holding on to, or I wrote it down, that I am understanding who this person is. I'm taking every note that they've told me, any kind of problems or anything like that. And so he says, "Tell me about the comp plan." And I said, "Well, did you know the comp plan of those other companies?" And he says, "I sure did." And I said, "I guess it didn't matter." And so I knew he couldn't overcome that. I knew that that would be like a shock to his system because no one's ever, talked to him that way.
Yeah, yeah,
But he needs to hear that,
yeah,
right? He told me, "I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked."
right.
I knew the comp plan and all those things. Clearly, that's not the secret. And so I kind of let that hit him and I waited a second. I knew he couldn't respond. And then I said, "Listen, if you want to learn the comp plan, there's a video online, just watch it. But clearly, that's not the secret. If you knew the comp plan of all those things that you didn't have success in, that's not the key. If you're coachable, I'll show you how to make money with this."
Yes,
And that was it. Right. And so it's about how do you manage the energy of the conversation? And so doesn't mean you're going to close every person, but you will close, I would say, with posture, you'll close 10 to 30% more,
hmm,
because I think people lose people on the fence all the time. I
yes,
think there's, people that they're close to making the decision, but if they feel that energy of desperation or need or eagerness or something, it repels them.
yeah,
And they just, they just don't buy. And and this is why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I know there are so many people out there with great products, with great services, with great coaching, with great, opportunities, whatever.
yeah,
Man, they would be making such a bigger difference in this world if only they knew how to close. And so that's why I'm just so passionate about helping people, helping ethical people learn how to better close.
yes. Oh, I agree with you. I agree with you because there's so much potential out there. If people
Yeah.
knew the right way to close, like we were talking about before the show, I've met so many people that have so much to give back to the world and they could help
Yeah.
so many people. It's just they lack in that one area, and that's one of the most important areas. And you have to deal with a lot of different personalities too. You have the A type, you have the B type, you have the Z type, like there's a lot of different personalities and you have to know how to handle all those different personalities. And that can be
Right.
very difficult for individuals too, especially if they're not used to dealing with personalities. With like an A-type person can be very difficult because they want statistics, they want data. Show me the results. Other people, might not know how to handle that on the spot. So it could be very challenging. How do people, increase sales without sounding more salesy?
There's three steps that I suggest, and you can do this whether you are so that well, this applies to marketing, right? There's two pillars of sales:
Right.
prospecting, reaching out to people, and marketing. So, for example, last quarter last year, I had a lady in Australia. She reached out to me and she said, "Hey, I want you to teach my team cold message marketing, and but first, I want you to teach me because I want to make sure it actually works." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And so I show her how to reach out to complete strangers on social media and actually close sales. She
Mhm.
does $100,000 in personal commissions in less than 60 days. Total
Wow.
strangers, don't know her, they're not following her. And she does have a brand, but she purposely reached out to people that did not follow her, she wasn't friends with, didn't know her. $100,000 in personal commissions, less than 60 days, 100% from that effort. So prospecting is you reaching out, whether it's someone you know, don't know, whatever.
Yes.
Marketing is passive. Marketing is you hope someone connects with whatever you've posted. You hope you get them to raise your hand, reach out to you. And so with marketing, it's three steps. It's generate a lead, connect with the lead, determine the need.
Hmm.
So you do those three things before you offer anything, right?
Right.
And so you generate a lead. So let's say that you're selling something around weight loss or something. So you would post, an example might be, "Hey, I have a 7-day meal plan. Help me lose a few pounds. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like it."
Right.
They reach out. You generated a lead. You connect with the lead. You say, "Okay, cool. Hey, I'll get you that meal plan when I'm back in front of my computer, but I'm just curious. Tell me about your journey. What have you tried so far? Where do you feel is your number one problem area?" And so they're going to respond back. and then you're going to determine the need. What do I have that's going to help their issue?
Right.
And so it's not now, how do some people do it? Some people will generate a lead and say, "Hey, here's what I got. It's these pills, it's apple cider vinegar, or it's chitosan, or it's this or that." And
Yeah.
they miss the connection part and the determining the need part. They go straight to offer. So they generate a lead, they make an offer. They generate a lead, they make an offer. And I'm not saying you won't make sales that way, but you have to generate 20 to 100 times more leads to generate the same amount of sales if you just took the time to connect with them and determine their need and
Yeah.
listen to them. See, I assume, and I think it's a safe assumption, that when I generate a lead, that no one in that person's life listens to them. I assume their husband doesn't listen to them. I assume their kids don't listen to them. I assume their boss doesn't, their coworkers. I'm going to be the one person on the planet that actually listens to them, at least, for a brief period of time, and
Yeah.
say, tell me about your journey. What have you tried so far? What didn't work? What do you
Right.
think that, what do you see as the number one issue with you being at the ideal weight you want to be? I
Right.
don't sell weight loss, but that's how I would do it if I was. I would have, these call to actions, these giveaway, these free meal plans or whatever. And I do not rely on the giveaway to close them because the
Yeah.
giveaway ain't going to close them. So
Mhm.
many people are addicted to the dopamine hit of asking for information. They don't even consume it. Like, yeah, send me that meal plan. They don't even open it.
Yeah.
So your opportunity is when they ask, connect with them,
Yeah.
find out the problem, find out the desire, then say, based on what you said, I think you should try this. It's
Mhm.
a 14-day system. It's a whatever, fill in the blank. And so it's, both, right? It's reach outs. If I'm not generating enough leads, I need to do more reach outs. If I'm getting plenty of leads, then I need to do the 3 steps.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. That's I think that's what the middle portion is the part that a lot when it comes to marketing, a lot of people miss.
Yeah,
It's hitting those pain points, generating, a need. What is that person's need? If they're attached to maybe a weight, to the weight loss ad or the post that you put out, then obviously they want to lose weight, and putting something in there that will kind of hit their pain point and really make them, want to see what you have to offer and,
right.
make that connection. So I feel that's very important too. I
Yeah,
definitely do. Now we can't we can also not ignore what's happening with AI. We mentioned a little about that earlier in
sure.
our segment. A lot of sales teams are hearing that AI is going to transform everything. Prospect and personalization, call prep, even the buyer journey. So what does that actually mean for the human side of selling? Because there, you see things too, like for a while, I haven't seen it recently, but they were generating people's voices where you couldn't even determine, is that the real person or is that actually AI generated because it was so close. So what does that actually mean for like the human side of selling in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I think too many people are trying to seek a result from AI versus wisdom from AI.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I mean, you can say, well, first of all, most people don't have a comprehensible brand.
Hmm.
We look at, I help women find freedom and clarity in their purpose. What does that mean? And so I love what Donald Miller talks about in Story Brand, and he's just like, it's got to be simple. Like, when people see that I help sales reps stop chasing and start closing with confidence, no one's like, what does that mean? What do you
Yeah.
mean by that? It's like they know. They feel people that feel like they're chasing, they don't want to do that. They're not getting the results that they want. They want to have more confidence. That's who I help. It's very simple, very straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, like I have a buddy who has a window washing company, and I told him, I'm like, just put on your marketers, call me when you see dirty windows. Very straightforward, right? You don't have to get fancy.
Yeah.
It's like, is it super simple? Do I have to think about what your tagline is saying? And if so, that little bit of cognitive, you know, not understanding, you're out.
Yeah.
You have to explain it. It's too complicated. So it needs to be simple.
Okay.
AI can help you with that. You
Hmm.
can say things like, "Hey AI, I'm trying to come up with a brilliant tagline that is super simple to understand, and I'd love to do it in Donald Miller style, where it's low cognitive resistance."
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could do that, and it will ask you questions to help you spit out, and then you look at that and you say, okay, what's another way to say that?
Yeah.
And so like, it's crazy to not use it for those kind of purposes,
Yeah.
but when you are trying to make an AI process optimize something that you've never optimized, I think that's a problem. It's almost like ads, like
Mhm.
um, I know so many people that I remember I talked to this client and she was like, well, my ads person sucks. And I'm like, okay, why do they suck? And like, well, we're spending all this money, nothing's converting. And I said, okay, how many sales did you convert with that funnel prior to running ads? And she's like, well, none. It's a new funnel. I'm like, that's your problem,
Yeah.
right? You need to, like optimize this thing. You may
Yeah.
have to make some tweaks, and then once it's running like a top, then push more traffic to it through paid advertising. Then see, are there pieces of this that can be automated? So
Yeah.
you take a section, you have AI automate that piece, and you look at the numbers, and you're like, okay, does that make sense? A lot of times it's not going, and you're going to have to make a tweak. You're going to have to and that's the problem,
Yeah.
is too many people are trying to automate things that they've never optimized. And so I think if you go literally the opposite way, for example, I'm part of a men's program, and it is a faith-based men's program. It's just designed to help us be better businessmen, leaders, husbands, fathers, et
Mhm.
cetera. And we're doing the complete opposite, in that we're doing these fireside chats all around the country. And so I was just up in Nashville. We had 30 men around a campfire. You can't get less AI than that,
Yeah.
in the mountains in Tennessee, right? And
Hmm.
and so you could go. I think the better wisdom right now in most industries would be go the complete opposite route, and
Yeah.
and say, how do I have more connection than all of my competitors? What are my competitors not willing to do?
Yeah.
And, is it having a local gatherings? Is it having yoga on the beach? Is it having, fireside chats? Like, what does that look like for more connection? Because I think the more companies that automate everything on the planet, right, that's going to be even higher desired.
Yes. Oh, I agree. I agree. Now, what do you think people are getting wrong about AI and sales right now?
I mean, number one thing, what I said, trying to automate something they never optimized,
Yeah.
I'm not good at sales. Let this, AI rep answer. Here's the problem. Like, if you just by default go to Claude or go to ChatGPT and say, hey, what's a good way to handle this objection? It's terrible. I
Yeah.
mean, the scripts, like, these AIs, they've gobbled up all the sales books on the planet, but the majority of sales books aren't great.
No, they're
Not
not.
good. And
No.
they say things that may sound okay, but human psychology is different than what a lot of these sales books are saying.
Yeah.
And so I've never, not one time, went to an AI thing and said, hey, what's a good script for this? And it actually be good. Now, with some promptings, like I have a lot of students that say, hey, answer this objection the way Ray Higdon would.
No.
And it'll be better. And a lot of times it's, on point, not always, but a lot of times it's a lot better because AI has read all my books too. And
Right.
and so you have to prompt it better,
Hmm.
but people won't do that. They're like, well, I'm not good at this, so let me just have AI do it. And that's usually the death nail. I mean, that's usually the sales you would have gotten now you won't even get.
Right. Very true. Now, what will the best salesperson do better than any system?
Say that again.
What would the best salesperson do than any AI system? What can humans do much better than AI?
I think connect. I think connect. Like, AI. It's funny. my wife was dealing with a health issue, and she was using, I think she was using Grok, and so
Mhm.
she's using Grok, and she's like, Grok, I think I'm having this, and Grok says, oh, try this and this and this, and so she tried that, and she was like, okay, it's feeling a little better today. And is like, congratulations. Clearly this is working, keep it up. And the next day she was in more pain than she ever had been. And so she goes, hey, it's like, oh, well, sometimes it's like AI is going to tell you what it thinks you want to hear.
Yeah.
Whereas a good, salesperson is going to make the person feel heard, is going to lead them and sometimes challenge them,
Yeah.
not in a pushy way of buy my thing, but in
Right.
a leading way of don't you want to change that? And
Yeah.
so there's a difference between manipulation and persuasion. Manipulation is how do I get someone to do what I want them to do?
Yes.
Persuasion is how do I get them to do what they already want to do?
Mm-hmm.
See, most people want to change their lives, but no one's leading them. No one's helping them to realize that.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Now let's make this practical. Like for the person listening right now who wants to increase sales,
Yeah.
what are the first three things they should fix?
I mean, one, just know this isn't like an overnight thing. Feel free to check out my YouTube channel. It's at higdongroup.com/channel. We post multiple videos a week that are geared to help the person learn how to close better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Number two, if you are doing any kind of talking to other humans, then you've probably experienced ghosting. Well, on my website, rayhigdon.com, I have the three follow-up scripts that work like a charm. They're amazing. They will convert ghosting, non-respondent people. 60-70% of them will respond to you by the third message. And you can get that for free on my website at rayhigdon.com. And number three, I would just say, no, you have to dedicate time toward this.
Yeah.
uh, I wasn't born an amazing salesperson, but I realized the need to be good at sales early on. And so I invested heavily in myself. I invested in coaches, I invested in courses, I invested in reading books. I mean, every day I'm reading some kind of book around persuasion or sales or sometimes mindset, but a
Yeah.
lot of sales and persuasion because I'm always looking to get better at helping people solve their problems.
Yeah.
And if I'm good at closing, I'm helping people solve their problems. If I'm not good at closing, I'm wasting everyone's time, including mine.
Exactly, exactly. And one of the biggest things that I've seen with people is that I see with a lot of business people that they want fast results, especially people who are in
Right.
startups and entrepreneurs. They think that by doing one or two things, they should all of a sudden they have a huge shift and have a 360 when they don't realize that it's a process. It's not a overnight,
Right.
shift. And a lot of people, I got to tell you, so many people I've spoken to, they don't understand that. They think it, maybe because today's technology, everything's given to us one, two, three. People think the same thing when it comes to business and closing and making sales, but it's not like that at all. What's
Yeah.
your take on that?
Yeah. For you to become world class, okay,
Mhm.
that takes years. For you to become good, you can get there in 4 to 6 weeks if you're dedicated at it.
Mhm.
For you to get great, it's gonna take some serious time. And so, just here's why I love teaching closing is if I can make you a better closer, everything you do is more profitable.
Yes.
Now, if I can get you good, if I just help you with your marketing, but you stink at closing, you're going to have to generate 20 to 100 times more leads than I would need to generate to make the same amount of money and the same amount of impact.
Right.
So it's not just about the money. Like some people that suck at closing, they'll say, well, it's not about the money, it's about making an impact. Okay, then learn to close.
Mhm.
Because if they're not buying your product, service, or opportunity, you ain't impacting them.
Right.
And that's what I think people miss that. And
Yeah.
and so we it's not about being pushy. I don't close every sale. no question. But anyone who truly wants to change their life that I can help, I have a pretty high close rate on that. And so should you. So should you. But it's gonna take some effort. It's gonna take some work.
I love that. Now, what is the fastest shift someone can make that improves their conversations almost immediately?
Focus on their problem. That's, that's number, well, I would say two things. Okay. One, talk to more people because, even if you're great at closing and you only talk to two people, you're not going to close that many sales. So I
Yeah.
would say talk to more people and focus on their problem, right?
Right.
What problem are they trying to solve? What desire are they trying to attain? Focus more on that instead of knowing everything about your product or service.
Right. Exactly. Now, a lot of people that are listening are probably still having the resistance to sales. They hear the word
Yeah.
and immediately they tense up. Like, what do you say to the person that says, I hate sales?
I would just say if you if you love to impact, you need to love sales
Hmm.
because there are people out there that need your product or service, but if you don't get better, you're not going to help them. You're
Yeah.
not going to help people that God actually lined up for you to help. And that stings, right? Don't let it sting. Just get better.
Yeah.
We can help you. My YouTube channel can help you. I coach a lot of sales teams and I do some one-on-one. And so like you can't you can't hate sales and love impact. You
Right.
can't. It's
Hmm.
that's they're directly opposed.
Right. Now, how do you help someone, become more confident if their selling hasn't always felt, unnatural?
Yeah. So, it takes some time, right? Because the key isn't let me gain confidence before I move forward,
Yeah.
because confidence typically comes from having done something.
Yeah.
So when we go to ride a bike, it's not we didn't read a book on confidence first and then got on the bike and we, just ride around. No,
Yeah.
we got on the bike, we fell down 50 times, and
Yep.
then we it actually worked and we're pedaling down the street and then we're like, "Oh, I'm confident I can now do this."
Yeah.
Same with swimming. We didn't read a PDF on confidence or a PDF on swimming. We
Yeah.
jumped in the water, we almost drowned, we got better, then we had confidence. And so
Exactly.
I think the problem is don't seek confidence when you're really looking for competence
Mhm.
and courage. Courage plus competence will get you to confidence.
Yes, 100%. Now, if someone is listening and they know that they need to get better at sales, but they are tired of the gimmicks and the pressure, what would be one message you want them to hear?
I mean, I would say plug into our stuff. I mean, I help so many people that have struggled with sales and don't want to be pushy. We provide a lot of free content, so you can get that. I have script books. I just have all kinds of resources to help people with that to make it easier.
Yeah.
And again, when you learn closing, everything you do becomes more profitable. Every networking, every piece of marketing, every Instagram post, like literally everything becomes more profitable. It's the only skill I'm aware of that makes everything across the board more profitable. And
Right.
and, and again, more impactful because hopefully you have a product or service that you believe in, and if that's true, then it's your responsibility to get better at getting that in the hands of the people that need it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, what separates people who are that keep chasing from the people who actually close?
I mean, the people that chase not the prospects problem. They're talking more people out of a sale than into a sale. They're
Hmm.
asking fewer questions. They're talking to fewer people. So each person they're kind of desperate and eager, because I only got two people to talk to today. So,
Yeah.
and so those are the problems, and they're very common. And so just do the opposite of all those things, and you will be better.
I love it. Now, if tell us a little about the services that you provide.
Yeah, so I have, a few different things. One, I do speak at a lot of events. So, next month I'm up in Orlando, speaking at the Ritz for a high ticket sales team. Um, so I do a lot of that, do a lot of speaking around the world. Um, am grateful. I don't know if you can't make it out, but that blue thing right there,
Mhm.
I was just last month voted the number one international sales coach by the
Wow. Congratulations.
IATOP, International Association of Professionals. And so I do a lot of what we call like containers, where I'll do a anywhere from 6 weeks to 12 months of working with a sales team,
Yeah.
real estate, insurance, network marketing, direct sales, whatever kind of sales team,
Mhm.
look at their actual conversations. And so we'll bring up their conversations, be like, all right, you said this, next time say this, but go ahead and respond with this. Like I'll literally
Right.
give them responses based on their product and service.
Yeah.
And so I do that. And then we also have a monthly membership group. We have it's $27 a month. We have about 9,100 people in there right now.
Wow.
And I do a less than 5 minute video Monday through Friday, giving them an action step and a quick training. And so we have a lot of different things. And you can connect with me more on Instagram at Ray Higdon, or on my website at rayhigdon.com.
I love it. I love it. Now, before we go, is there maybe one or two things you'd like people to remember from this conversation? If they had to walk away from our conversation today, what would be, a few things you want them to remember and understand?
Yeah. So remember the three steps: generate a lead, connect with the lead, determine the need. Then you can make your offer.
Hmm.
Number two, focus more on their problem than your solution.
Yeah.
And number three, at least plug in. If you're struggling with this and this is resonating with you, plug into our YouTube channel, higdongroup.com/channel. We pump new content on there every single week. And obviously it's free. And so
Hmm.
check that out. We have longer, like, master classes on there that are like an hour and a half, as well as super short ones that will give you a quick lesson.
I love that. What I appreciate about this conversation is that it makes sales feel more human,
Yes.
not manipulative, not
Right.
gimmicky, it's not forced. It's just clearer, stronger, and honest.
Right.
And, so, I truly believe you bring a timely message to a lot of people who are great at what they do, but they still struggle to convert into sales and make that into revenue. And, I thank you so much for coming on the show today because
Yeah.
you really provided the information that we really need. In today's society, I think a lot of people just, lack the ability to sell the right way, to read people, to understand people,
Right.
connect with people. And I think nowadays, even with more so with all the technology out there and the less communication people are doing, people don't know how to connect with other humans. But
Right.
really, so what you do is great, and I give you kudos for everything that you've accomplished, and I think people are going to really, really, get a lot from this episode. So I thank you
Awesome.
so much for being on this show,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you, and I
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome. You have a great day.
You too. Bye.